And the panel discussion we're going to have is digital currency, current development trends and future opportunities. And let me introduce the moderator of this panel discussion, Darius Verseckas, the Chief Marketing Officer at HeavyFinance. Darius, please on stage.
Hi.
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 Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Right, before we start, I don't know who wants to answer this question to me. Talking about the digital currency, people who are maybe new to this topic might have the same question that I have. It's a newbie question. But is there a quick and simple way to explain what is the difference between digital currency and cryptocurrency? Who's the volunteer to give one quick answer?
From us?
Yeah.
Janis, of course.
Yes, okay.
He'll have the presentation, no?
Yeah, let's start presentation. So, everybody sees the slides? Still not?
Here you go.
Good. So, some words about Accenture Baltics. So, Accenture Baltics is a global professional service company providing broad range of services in consulting and solutions, including strategy, digital technology, operations. One of the main areas where Accenture is dealing for is finance service industry, which includes as well cooperation with late-stage vintages. Some brands with whom Accenture is dealing on a daily basis, so you can see that there's like mostly quite a lot of 75% of Fortune Global 500 customers. Now, before we jump actually into our current today's topic about digital currency, current trends and opportunities, I would like to just emphasize current status of the central banks in the world. So from the map we can actually see there is like plenty of countries in a green color who are actually running research process. If we look at other countries, then there is like some countries like in purple color who is actually already kind of running, let's call proof of concept on the countries in central banks. And one of them is Swedish National Bank, which we will slightly touch in next slides. Some of the countries, like in the yellow color, we can see are like running already pilots. And then if we are looking on the map, then we can see actually two small dots in the red color. That one is Denmark, another one is Ecuador, which has cancelled the digital currency projects. And if you look more closer in the map, we can see actually small two dots in the light blue color. And those are the countries who has already implemented digital currency in the central banks. And that one is Nigeria with digital Naira and Ecuador with, Bahamas with digital dollar. So here we'll look at some technical solution pilot project, which has been running by Swedish National Bank. And actually, the question comes, why would some bank would like to kind of build up this kind of project for digital currency? Why it's needed at all? And the first, like 2 points which come in mind for Swedish, then first of all is like, we can see that each country's national bank is keen to kind of keep the currency a strategic value and keep the competitiveness in the market, for example, against the cryptocurrencies. Secondly, according to Swedish National Bank research, the information is so that the drop of usage cash in a daily base has dropped from 39 to 9%, and that is starting from 2009 to 2020. And that's basically because cash is used by elderly people and it's used basically for small payments. But now let's look on the video how this technical solution e-krona project has been running by Swedish National Bank.
The e-krona being tested has been designed as a token. a digital unit containing information on the value of each token and origin of the e-krona. All e-krona can be traced back to the Riksbank as the issuer. The user accesses e-krona through distributors known as participants. Participants may be, for example, banks or payment service providers. The Riksbank and the participants communicate through a network of nodes. Maria has a token worth 100 e-krona. She wants to transfer 60 to yuan. Maria sends a request to her participant. The participant checks that sufficient funds exist for this transfer. Maria signs the transaction. A control function checks that Maria's token has not been used before. A token can only be used once. Each transaction consumes the token used and creates one or two new ones depending on whether a payer is to get any change. The control function notes that Maria's token has been consumed, and the transaction is signed. The participant creates a transaction using two new tokens and allocates them to Maria's digital safe and Yuan's participant. Yuan's participant checks that the e-krona can be traced to the Riksbank and places them in his digital safe. Maria and Yuan see that the transaction, which takes place in real time, has been completed.
All right, summarizing what we saw in previous video, first of all, Swedish National Bank is creating e-token and creating the kind of e-krona. The second one is like a function where this control function verifies has not token been used before already. The third noodle is like payment service providers like banks or some payment service companies which operate their own nodes. And lastly, fourth part is actually these users who kind of withdraw or deposit their money in the digital wallets. And that is one of the kind of samples, let's say, of the project which has been running now in nowadays as a pilot project in the world. And this project has been jointly run together by Swedish National Bank and Accenture. So looking on other trends, like overall what is ongoing in the market, quite alarming news in positive sense in the beginning of February was from India, because India just announced that they are kind of trying or will introduce a digital currency already this year. And I think it's quite actually impressive because if you consider that India is the 6th largest economy in the world. And Finance Minister of India and Corporate Affairs is saying that they look at this kind of as in two opportunities. The first one is like they would like to kind of achieve with this digital currency project to become the more effective in the payment system. So kind of be more effective using digital currency. And secondly, it could actually as well help India actually to boost up digital economy. The next one actually, which is near the India border, is China. And China is actually already running the pilot project in the Shenzhen area. And the project is quite impressive one because there is like used 10 million yuan for the pilot project, which is worth $1 million. And in the pilot project, there were participating more than 50,000 people. And the point is also that every user will be capability to download the 200 yuan and will be able to use more than 3,000 stores in China. And I think that's as well quite alarming news because China is the 2nd largest economy in the world. Looking on some another trends from another angle, we can see that on the left side of the screen, we can see actually some kind of statistics which are pulled out from the Google search engine. So that shows how many people overall have done searches in the Google engine looking for speeches regards to digital currency from central bank managers. And that's kind of quite showing the clear trend up. And on the right side of the screen, you can see actually that there is same kind of used statistics or maybe same mechanism for Google engine, kind of searching and seeing what is the interest overall in the market from the people with regards to digital currency and as well Facebook Libra and Bitcoin. And we can see that everything which is related to digital currency is actually quite alarming, and there is huge interest growing in the market. I think this one graph is very good indicator overall what is ongoing in the market as well, because we can quite see that there is a lot of firms entering into the digital currency kind of research process. And of course, the main part is different national banks, because as I said kind of as well, then first of all, each national bank is looking as a currency as a strategic value for the future to keep competitiveness against the cryptocurrencies, for example. And not only the national banks are entering in this business, there is as well consultant companies and as well social platforms who are looking forward to develop their own currencies, digital. And some key conclusions. Let's say the first one is like every national bank will try to aim to keep their money as strategic value for the long term, because there is kind of a lot of competition ongoing in the payment markets. Secondly, digital currency will lead to more efficient, cheaper currency management system. I think no doubt, because if we look at the current currency systems, and we can see that there is like still a lot of countries where the cash is being used. And if we talk about the cash and the coins, that requires quite good big resources to manage that. And still there is a certain possibility about the fraud or treat of the fraud in the market. Certainly, the digital currency could bring some more innovations in the market, because one assumption might be that, for example, if we have the digital currency in our mobile phones, then we could actually kind of do, transfer this money between us being offline. And I think that's quite a good opportunity for the future, and kind of good differentiation in the market against the current payment systems. Fourthly, there is like still quite a lot of people in the market who don't have any access to banking system. And according to global information, there is like around 1.7 billion people who don't have access to any banking system. So this might be a good opportunity for some of them. Fifth point, there is like, if we looking on the current economy, I believe that it could boost digital economy, because if we are like considering that the digital currency could support more faster money transfers between users, and that could bring some digital boost to digital economy. Sixth part, if we considering, for example, Europe Central Bank, who is also doing some kind of research now, then just imagine what innovation or what opportunity it could bring in the market if there would be possibility between the countries in Europe to move the faster payments. Because I think there is some countries in Europe where the payment time for the bank takes more than an hour. And lastly, the digital currency could definitely bring the more environmentally friendly payment system, and that is in a sense if we compare it to cryptocurrency, for example, because cryptocurrency is like there is a lot of mining farms located in the world, so they're kind of doing this kind of decentralized way of the ledger records and all these things, and that requires quite a lot of electricity. But if you are looking at digital currencies, there would be like one main stakeholder, which would be the national bank, which could kind of keep all ledger records. So thank you.
Great.
That's it, right? We can leave, or
Pretty much so.
because all the all the questions answered. Darius,
No,
right?
I think no, still a lot of to
Pretty
discuss.
much so. Janis, thank you very much for the introduction to the topic. Janis is a lead of sales within financial service industry at Accenture Baltics. I would like to introduce you our other panelists. Rūta Merkevičiūtė, Director of Financial Services and Market Supervision Department at Bank of Lithuania.
Hello.
And also Andrius Bičeika, Deputy CEO at Revolut Bank for European Economic Area. Hi.
Thanks. Hi.
And my name is Darius Verseckas. I'm a Chief Marketing Officer at HeavyFinance, agricultural financing platform. Not much in digital currencies, but we're hoping to move there. I would like to start the conversation actually with digital euro. From what I saw, there was a report about digital euro in 2019. There's a little bit of talks now. And just recently, Fabio Pineta, member of the executive board of European Central Bank, said, if in 10 years from now, users don't get digital services from us, they will get it from others. So the question for all of you, when do you expect digital euro to happen?
Okay, maybe I will start. Truly, it's not the question when, but how it will happen. Because digital euro, we could look at it like, okay, we will have digital euros backed by central bank and we are safe, no bankruptcy of our money. But truly, it's more important how it will be implemented. And I guess for ECB, it's very important to decide that it wouldn't prevail and wouldn't harm financial system, but on the other hand, it would be really popular in a way that people could use in benefit not using cash. Because the aim of a central bank is really to be a European central bank competitive, like we are the issuer of cash. People are using less and less due to the COVID, to digital economy, so how we could have our stance there with the digital currency. And this is, so I wouldn't, for me it's really very important to have the structure that wouldn't harm the private sector and would benefit to the community instead of being the first one to implement.
Okay. Andrius, what's your take?
First, I have to admit I am not prepared. I really thought it's about CBD, the discussion.
So now you can go.
Yeah, and then I thought at least it's about cryptocurrency. And after listening to Janis, it's neither of them. So let's pretend I know something and let me tell. I think the overarching idea from my side with regards to CBDCs is going to be one. It's not about the idea. Idea is great, right? It looks amazing on paper. And we all have seen in the business, right, when idea pops up in the CEO's mind or in somebody's mind, oh, that's great, let's do it. It's going to revolutionize the world. It's not about the idea. It's about execution. And talking from, let's say, Revolut's perspective, right, that we grew so fast, no one really understands how much effort it went into that. It was amazing effort, amazing, teamwork, amazing success even, to get to where we are and where we want to move. So for me, when I look at the presentation, when I understand the concept, when I look at what is wanted to be achieved, it's all going to be about the execution, because we all know about Libra that you just mentioned, the Facebook's famous project. It was starting with fireworks, right? Remember that? Participants, everyone, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be revolutionizing everything. And now we said goodbye to them, rest in peace. 2 months ago, right?
Yep.
So you see how it is, but let's continue on other angles to the topic.
Janis, what do you think?
Yes, from my perspective, I see that the main challenge is to agree between the market players about the way how this digital currency will run, actually. And we should consider that the European Union is like consisting of lot of national banks in different countries, and all, first of all, every country should agree internally how it will happen, and then secondly, jointly between the European Union. And I think it's quite a big challenge from that perspective. So I believe it's really achievable, but the question is how fast it will take to run the proof of concept, how fast it will take to run a pilot project, so we can see that it's working and then it's safe, and then it will move on, and that's only the question of time.
But so would you agree that if it will not happen in 10 years, somebody else will do it?
That's a good question, because from my perspective, I still believe it will happen in next year, 10 years at least, because Europe is still, if you're comparing to another world, it's really, I think, how to say, organized well from finance perspective and from all legislation. And I think central bank should definitely do it in 10 years. That's absolutely achievable.
Andrius is also nodding. 10 years, achievable?
I don't expect anything else from the consultant to say. Of course, you have to get the job for the... I'm semi-joking. Look, as you said, it's a lot of challenges, right? And it has to be... The success... Look, maybe I'll tell one more relatable thing to our local market, etc., etc. If not the huge focus 6 years ago, 7 years ago, by the Central Bank of Lithuania, by the Finance Ministry, by Invest Lithuania, by a few people even who, let's say, wanted to, not one, let's say, saw the opportunity, and we know all who those people are, right? Some of them will speak later today, and Rūta were also part of that. Lithuania wouldn't be where it is on the fintech map today. But that required a lot of, again, even coincidences, even luck, right? Some companies, Revolut, I think, signing memorandum of understanding, etc., etc. So it's a huge thing, and we see how much effort it came just for the kind of this small country, small, objective, and now we have huge objective, so it will be exponentially more effort.
Well, we jumped directly into implementation and forecasts when it can happen, but Rūta, I want to talk to you. What would be the benefits for financial system, for Lithuanian financial system, first of all, and for the whole Europe of implementing a digital currency?
I guess we could first start from the usual consumer and customer, and like I said, it's about inclusion to this financial system. Then you have CBDC, digital currencies. What it means, you are part of the financial system, you are able to participate and pay. There is no problem then opening a bank account, KYC and AML. Of course, it will be the part of it in the implementation, but anyways, you are eager to participate, like the cash and the digital currency. Another part is very important is COVID, I guess, it has speeded up going to the digital economy. We are used now to pay by card more or pay to buy something in e-commerce than before. So it's a natural shift. I need some payment means, not only maybe banks, cards, but maybe digital currency, CBDC could be also a possible mean. Another part, if we looked at the financial system and for players, for a private sector, banks and payment service provider, of course, it could be some kind of mix in the head. What central bank doing? Are they wanting to compete with us? But I guess it should be taken as an opportunity, because anyway, the private banks, the private sector would be in partnership with central banks, because they will be distributing. So this is an opportunity. Like, I remember the same thing when it was with open banking, and they said, oh, banks has to open to TPPs, and all the banks were so afraid, but only some of them saw the opportunity. So I look at for our financial system with a lot of players, I mean, in payments, not only banks, but payment service providers, others, e-money and payments, it's a really big opportunity to use it. And I really encourage to really be interested in that project. Not only then it will be implemented, but already now what's happening.
Yeah, and this is super important for the success of the CBDCs, right? So for the participants to also take part, right? Because it's part of the execution, right? It's exactly. Belief and execution.
Yeah, and in one European Union sources, I found that we actually pay around 1.4% of the GDP for payment services a year. That's quite a bit of money. Can digital currencies make it cheaper? more efficient?
Like I will start, and maybe you could. What they are referring is also to card payment system, because usually these are the big players in Europe and in USA. This even the separate regulation was implemented to tackle all the commissions that they are taking. The thing about central bank is, you exchange in pair. It means if you give €1, you get €1. So from central bank point of, it wouldn't be like no kind of fees are being applied. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you will be able to use it till the end of time, like use like millions. Some camps should be introduced just for a means, not central bank digital currency, to be a competitor for a private banking.
Yeah. Janis, do you see ways for making payments cheaper?
Yeah, I think the first probably is like if you're looking at the current system, then we could actually, it really depends from the objective, but I believe that if we are moving to digital currency, then at some point we should kind of maybe skip or close, or maybe to push to a lower level the usage of cash, because maintaining cash, that's costs some money overall for the central bank system. And if you can kind of find, after some time, the ways that we can actually not use cash at all, that definitely could actually bring some effect in the long term. So that's one objective. And another one, what I see is, my belief is that the payment system itself, if you're looking at, for example, Lithuania or Latvia, we can see that the time of the payment through different banks takes some lead time, so you have to kind of count it. And that slows down the money movement. So from that perspective, if digital currency could actually make this payment system easy, effective through different countries and fast, that's really could be as well opportunity.
And may I ask a question actually, because who would pay? Because obviously, I guess a lot of more jobs at the central banks would need to be created, especially highly paid jobs, right? Because it's going to be IT, very much IT heavy, right? And to develop everything. And then, it looks like billions and billions of investment, right? Just for me to, I mean, maybe for the audience as well, it wouldn't necessarily be totally free, right? Or has anyone have a view who will pay? Is it the banks or?
Maybe we can answer you in the decade.
I think we will pay it. We will pay it. Everyone for us will pay it.
Yeah, all the time the banks pays. But it's not true. But small part, of course, of all the how the fees are being structured. Of course, is a part of bank, but you are not the only one paying. So don't worry.
But can we agree it wouldn't necessarily be totally free? Because even digital, even cryptocurrencies, they are not free, right?
Well, cash is free for the consumer.
Today we can agree it cannot be free, but in 10 years, ECB will agree and said, oh, they didn't concur with us.
It's like for Revolut, right? It started totally free.
Yes. No, but the thing is, the concept itself, it shouldn't be different from the cash. If I go to the central bank, I get cash for free. So it depends how the intermediaries would be involved and from what cap. It might be till some sum, it will be free, but after intermediaries are engaged, it might be different. So I guess it's too early to talk about fees before talking about the concept, how it will be distributed.
Got you. And maybe even producing the cash, and storing it's a lot of money there, I guess, as well, just to kind of maintain that cash element. Okay, cool.
Rūta, since we're talking about the whole structure of it, I would like to talk about risks a little bit. What are the risks involved of building this kind of project, especially when we started talking about the money?
Of course, if we look from the macro level, the risk that you could disrupt all the financial system. because they say, okay, if the central bank digital currency is here, we don't need banks. We are like free from bankruptcy, all this stuff. So, but I guess this risk is really mitigated by European Central Bank. As for digital currency itself, it's all the other risks like cybersecurity, IT risks are involved, and I guess it should be also managed. And of course, another risk that ECB is telling that it wouldn't be so popular or it will be over-popular, that also have implications for financial system. So it's very important from the policymakers, monetary policymakers, to have this balance and this trust.
Let's not forget that, for example, the earlier, the younger generation nowadays, right, who are so engaged into crypto, et cetera, and one of the aspirations of crypto for them is like this, to some extent is anonymous, right? To some extent is not trackable, et cetera. So for the risk of full adoption of digital currencies by central bank, that intrusion moment, which let's not forget, the people, I mean, the central bank at least, if they want it, they probably want, for the obvious reasons, for the AML and fraud, prevention. They would want to see everything, right? And that intrusion element could be, backfire to some of the younger generation who see this, privacy very, very seriously.
Yeah. Well, I recently visited Berlin, and as always in Germany, I paid cash. And when we're talking about digital currencies, I'm thinking many companies and people didn't even move to digital payments. Do you see the risk of, it will not get adopted, the whole technology? For all of you, the question.
You mean like risk that it could not be kind of implemented or used at all? Or?
So it can be implemented, but it will not get as popular.
Okay, I think we couldn't say that because everybody is nowadays is using the bank cards, and it's kind of as statistics shows that digital money and digital payments, it's kind of growing up. It's not going down. So basically, it means that if there would be kind of introduced the digital currency, I believe at some point it should be used from the kind of market players. But again, it's very important, I think, for the central bank to involve all the market players. I mean, all the payment service providers which are operating in the market. So it's so we are not getting this kind of neglection of this currency from the payment service providers, and that everybody is interested to start to use this money in the market. And then it should support naturally to move up and some really good improvements in the future for payment system.
I would add, if we look to the micro level, if you've talked to should Germany should introduce digital currency, of course, maybe not. There is no threat to the cash. But then we talk from Euro part, it's Eurozone, and the increase of digital payments is increasing, in all the zones. So therefore, I don't believe that the cultural difference in Germany or other countries like Lithuania, it's also, we are lovers of the cash. This cultural doesn't mean it wouldn't be implemented. And really the implementation could boost using the digital currency, because in Germany there is some also dependence that the small companies, they are not willing to have this POS terminals because of the fees. And it's another problem to deal with. With a digital currency, it could be this kind of problem could be rapidly, there would be not a problem anymore. So,
Andrius, neobanks took all the early adopters in the beginning, but then expanded to very large scale. And thinking from your perspective, do you see these digital currencies? Do you see the possibility for them to serve unbanked and underbanked? Can digital currency be a solution?
Maybe, yeah, that's a good question. And that's another gap that I have in understanding how are you going to technically onboard them, the users of CBDCs, if you don't do that through some sort of KYC, which is almost probably going to be equal to the current bank or neobanks onboarding process, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And if that's the case, and actually it's going to be the same, so what the problem are we solving? Then we would just still have to push for whatever the best solutions are out there. There are, right? Either the neobanks, bank, whatever, like, you know, whatever people want to do. Push the digital solutions for, you know, this AML and fraud, etc. Because I think Ekaterina Govina said it once. The solution to prevent all the fraud in the world is to give everyone a credit card. And then essentially you almost like, the fraud element disappears and AML disappears and, that element disappears. So maybe we should just work on that. You know, I'm not saying that we shouldn't do the CBDCs, CBDs definitely, and CBDCs for sure. But then, coming back even to the previous question, how to make it work, then it almost has to be, people shouldn't see even that they are dealing with CBDCs, right? It has to be so natural and so smooth that they wouldn't see the difference. I mean, we're talking now, but when we do that, and then in the background, it's actually running on CBDCs, and the people are doing their normal, payment routine with the card or doing the international payment or whatever, then we achieved what we wanted probably, right? Not like pushing the CBDC's agenda, then which will scare a lot of people. I guarantee you, new things. And it's not that easy to roll out something new, right? We cannot not even roll out the vaccine program properly, right? So with obvious benefits to some extent. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. We talked quite a bit from the consumer's perspective. Janis, what about the businesses, especially maybe small and medium ones? How companies can benefit from digital currencies?
Yeah, especially if we're talking about Europe-wise, then from trends, what we see in the market, that the benefit really could be that international trade for these kind of small and medium companies could take place for more faster payments. That's number one, I think. And secondly, still, I think at some point, the money movement, like from the, from time perspective, to have it more faster in the market, that also should bring some benefit to this kind of businesses. Maybe there could be as well opportunity to have some grants or credits on some point, even more accessible, because there would be introduced new form of money, which as well would be available in form of overdraft, for example. Yeah. So I think in any case, if you are like looking overall at this kind of solution, that it could give some actually boost. I mean, not only for small medium companies, but even for startup companies, for example.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Sure.
I guess people would like answer from you, not questions.
In case there is no Q&A questions from the audience, let's take my for that. International angle, right? Because we're now speaking about the EU,
yes.
And then UK not even in the EU, right? So does that then mean EU will have their own CBDC? UK, they have their own CBDC, China their own, and then it's essentially FX market of CBDCs?
Yeah,
Yeah?
that is
exactly
how
okay,
it's
cool.
been, I think, running in the world now, kind of in research and pilot projects. But I think no one currently is maybe still discussing about how they will interact between each other.
Yeah,
so they're like more locally for the market-wise. So yeah.
Cool.
And do you see China's moves as a threat? That, well, it always seems, at least from media perspective, that there's some kind of competition in everywhere. And we're researching while China is running a pilot. What's your thoughts on it?
Maybe I will start. China would be the threat if China's yuan would be like the prevailing currency. But as far as we know, it's US dollar. So when we talk, I just come back, if European Union wants to be prevailing, so this kind of project might be very important for them, because US Treasury is also thinking, their central bank thinking about digital currency. So I wouldn't see China as a threat unless we will use China's currency as a payment mean.
Okay. And, well, the final... Yeah.
At least from the rollout perspective, when it comes to China, let's not forget that probably on Alipay's and WeChat side, when it comes to financial innovation, they're like still years ahead. Right? And we have the same reasons, which will probably be a success in running or rolling out CBDC for them. It's one market, quiet, how to say, centralized market, right? With those intrusion problems almost non-existing because they have been there forever. You get the point. And then rolling out something like that, it's an advantage for them to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Compared to EU, let's say.
Yeah.
And for the end of this discussion, I would like to ask, so I see that it's inevitable that we're going to try with digital euro. As one of the global capitals of fintech, what Lithuanians can do, how we can participate in the project, how we can make it run faster. Rūta, maybe you want to start?
So like I said, we have a huge community of payment service providers, and they will be the first intermediaries who are participating there. So what we could do is be on pulse what's happening with ECB and CBDC in European Union and be a part of it.
Janis?
Yeah, I think we should stick to Eurozone as we have done it before and look forward for the process, how it's going up, and be jointly working on it together. So from my belief, I think we should just do at our best and move forward.
Andrius, what's your?
From my side, I will refer to the success of creating the fintech ecosystem in Lithuania and some of the, let's say, leaders emerging who would run with that flag of creating something like that. So we probably need 1-2 leaders in the market to actually start that, almost like project managers, if you like.
Good point.
All right. Thanks a lot for participating in this discussion. Thank you for listening. Well, the future looks interesting. Hopefully in 10 years, we're going to try with digital euro. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Darius. Thank you, everyone. But don't leave the stage, please, yet. It was really fruitful discussion, and I really enjoyed it. But we have a lot of questions from the audience. So, to begin with, we have anonymous question. Why would consumers need centralized CBDCs when there are centralized cryptocurrencies, including stablecoins, already in the market? Whoever it applies.
I can take this question. So, it's a very simple answer. The digital currency from central bank, it's digital currency of central bank. So it means that this currency will cost the same value as it will cost a few days later or a few days before. If you talk about the cryptocurrency, that's totally different solution, totally different market, and it's kind of every day it's like shifting up and down.
Stablecoin. They are referring to stablecoin, which is like a bit more stable.
Yeah. So that's from my perspective.
Yeah, so with regards to stablecoin, because I would have the same question.
You know, what I could say, central bank, they don't get bankrupt. Stablecoin, it backed in private banks, and they could be bankrupt. Yeah. So I guess it's the same difference, and the fluctuation is also possible with a stablecoin.
Andrew, do you have any comment on this?
No comment.
Okay, so let's move for the other one. How do digital currencies affect European Central Bank interest rates? Rūta, probably it's for you.
It wouldn't be affected because it will be the same as cash, and we have digital currencies in a mean that banks are using central bank systems, so it wouldn't affect at all. I don't see the possibility to affect unless some other factors would be influenced.
Okay. What's the main difference between currently existing euro hold digitally in the banks vs euro as CBDC?
Do you want to explain?
No, Janis, I think they're referring to just euros in the bank account versus CBDCs in the bank account.
It's, I believe, questions about the currency in the bank account, in commercial bank account versus digital currency.
Okay,
right?
I will explain. Yeah. Then you hold your funds in a bank. These funds are banks' funds. It's in their balance sheet. So when I reflect to you in case of bank bankruptcy, it's not your money. It's really like you get some insurance. But when we reflect to central bank digital currency, it's you're kept and you are.
And then correct me, Rūta, it's like if they see the CBDC in the bank, right?
Yes.
It's technically still not the bank's.
It's not the bank.
It's just in bank is just intermediary,
Yes.
and if the bank goes bust,
Yeah.
it's 1-for-1 paid back or whatever. Right?
So it's so that it could be very attractive to the people, but it doesn't mean that you will be able to hold like all your funds in a central bank. It's not the purpose. Don't have this expectation.
Okay, because I started
You don't
thinking.
have this expectation because ECB's the goal is not to determine our.
But maybe a bit more than
system.
100,000 euros, right? Maybe a bit more.
I don't know really.
Than 200 maybe.
It's under this discussion.
No.
Okay, another one, very interesting. How to solve mass electric consumption in crypto area problem?
Solar.
Solar.
Wind, yeah.
Solar.
Do you have any ideas, or this question is not in the discussions yet, maybe?
What I could say, the sustainability itself, it's a topic that will stay like for 10 and more years. So I guess we should think about cryptocurrency that are more sustainable.
More green energy.
It might be, but more sustainable.
Yeah.
And we're going to that, right?
Exactly.
We're
Solar.
moving
Solar. So I told you.
So when banks will be obliged to accept digital currency?
Obliged?
Probably no obligation. Probably not no obligation.
If it's a central bank digital currency, they will be obliged. If we talk about crypto assets, it's not a currency. So it's not obligation, it's a commodity. If you deal with that, you deal with that. So it's up to the bank, private sector, if they provide this kind of services.
Okay, one more. How much CBDC will help in building up stable, frictionless cross-border transactions?
That's a tough one.
Good question. I know whom.
No, it could be. Like, why am I answer all the questions, guys?
You are creating this. You are creating this thing.
Sorry, we moved to the difficult ones.
It's your thing, your project.
So what we
Ladies
discussed,
first.
it's discussed what now we are on the stage of creating like digital euro. How it would interact with the different currencies, it's a question. Maybe for this international transaction, I see the role of stable coins in this part. It might be maybe more about using stable coins than digital currency at this stage, at this moment of discussion, but we will see the future.
Okay, and the last for everyone to think, how current situation in Ukraine can affect consumers' attitude to digital currency?
Guys, it's your question.
Look, digital. I really don't know what angle the person had in mind, right? Because I don't want to kind of overstep a bit or overinterpret that a bit. But let's also agree that to some extent, the majority of that to work, the internet will be needed, right? Is that true, right? So we saw the things in Kazakhstan, the movements when the internet was shut, and maybe almost in a day, right? I think the crypto markets fell because so many miners sit in Kazakhstan. So with CBDCs, I don't know, maybe something like that could actually be a big problem, like with regards to internet.
Yeah, I think the right answer probably would be that the effect would be, from my perspective, would be the same as we talk about the paper money. So it's like really hard, to prognose what would happen or forecast. It really depends on the situation and kind of so many facts.
You know what? Maybe that's part of the project, Jira board. If you take, like with cryptocurrencies,
yes,
you take it in your USB, in the that ledger thing, right? Yeah. And you take it with you. That's just a must, right? From the beginning, right? Because everyone was, when they talk about cryptocurrencies, one of the potential biggest, pluses and pros is, oh, but you know, if there is a turmoil in the country and civil war, etc., I can easily take it with me, you know, bring it to another country, plug it in, and have the money. You have the liquidity, right?
Yeah.
So that's...
Maybe I will comment, because we we took the CBDC part. What would happen to CBDC if, like, if there were a way to CBDC in Ukraine? So CBDC is euro. So is Ukraine has euro? No. So truly the influence itself to the currency, shouldn't be like direct influence. If we talked about the war in a European Union country, it might be triggered to the euro, but it's very dependent on how the euro itself strong and how Eurozone is strong. So, like, I wouldn't see any direct influence to the euro.
Yeah.
So good news.
But you agree to the USB thing?
Like you talked about cryptocurrency, who is not like CBDC. So of course, if there are a lot of miners in Ukraine, no electricity, of course it might be, but it's two different points. You know, euro and cryptocurrency, it's two different things.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, guys, for this discussion, for your time. I believe it was very, very interesting for everyone here and who watches us online. So
Thank you.
have a nice day.